It is always painful to see the tears of a mother, and what is even more heartbreaking is to know that her son is the reason behind her tears. Yvonne is raising a 2-year-old boy, but up to now, her son is yet to make his first step and he's yet to speak his first word. All he does every day is coughing repeatedly as he struggles with breathing, and sometimes he looks as if he's running out of oxygen, which deeply terrifies her drained mother. He was supposed to be the child of a blessing to his family, as his father wanted to have a boy in addition to his 2 girls he already has. But instead of being a blessing, this boy turned into a curse to his family, as his father abandoned them just a few months after he was born. His mother had not expected it, and it couldn't happen at the worst time, as the medical bills for their son were piling up constantly. It was a tough choice for this woman to choose between her job and her son, who truly needed attentive care all days, since his body is so fragile and he cannot do anything for himself yet. As expected, she chose to leave her job, but as such, she left the single source of income she had relied upon in tough times, and with this decision, she simply stretched her limited savings, which further plunged her into the cycle of indefinite poverty she still lives in now. Immediately after that, she started to struggle with the expensive medical bills of her son, and that's why she reached out to the family and friends for the much needed financial help. But instead of getting the help, she was extremely mocked to the point she stopped to ask for it, and throughout the story, you will learn how her husband broke her heart right before he left her, while the story of how she survives with her sick child will simply leave you speechless. This is her shocking story. Mukamani Yvonne already had 2 young girls when her husband expressed his desire to have a boy to complement their family. God held their wish and gave them this handsome young boy who looked normal at his birth, and they both couldn't be happier. However, within a couple of days, this woman started to see strange problems with her son, who looked a little bit out of breath. Concerned, she took him to the hospital, and expensive medical examinations revealed that this boy is suffering from a serious heart condition. She was informed that for that kind of condition to be treated, she needed to take her son to India, where he would have advanced surgery to fix his problem. The couple usually had a good relationship, but after the news, the husband started to detach from his family and his behavior changed significantly. We usually had a good relationship, but when we learned that our son had a serious heart condition, he started to complain that I'm asking a lot of money for the medical treatment of our son, and that is something I didn't expect. I also had a job, but my income was too small to cover all the medical bills, and that's why I took on some debt in order to treat my child without using my husband's money. For a while, Yvonne stopped asking her husband for money, but the method of paying her son's medical bills with debt was unsustainable. Again, she decided to ask her husband for the money, and again, he was furious about it. One day, he came home drunk and he told her that he will leave her for a young, beautiful woman who can give birth to healthy boys. Before he left me, he would bring other women, and I had caught him multiple times sleeping in our bed. I was shocked and my heart was broken, but I decided to be patient and continue to live with him for the sake of my son. I was afraid that if I left him, I will not have the ability to pay for the medical bills of my child. And even if he was no longer providing any money to me, at least I had the hope that a time will come when he returned to his usual sense and agree to help me with the medical bills of our son. But instead of returning to his senses, the husband left her without any warning, and he cut off all communications he had with her. By then, this woman had a huge debt waiting to be paid, while she had lost the trust of everyone around her because of her debt. Beside that, her son's medical bill were still coming in, while the payment of her rent and other expenses never reduced. Her solution was to leave the city and go back to the village, where life is a lot cheaper and affordable. This child might die in my arms because I don't have the financial means to treat him. I left the city and came back to the village, but even here, my life is still very difficult since I don't have a job, as I spend most of my time taking care of my son. Sometimes I can go to the neighbors and request to wash their clothes, or some others might give me the job in their farms, but that's still very little money to sustain my needs. When I don't have a job, sometimes we can go for a day or two without eating, and that's very troubling for my son. With no job, this woman relied on her friends and family to survive, and indeed, they did help her in the first few days until one day when they started to pull back their support. Some of her friends advised her to look for some traditional medicine which she would give to her husband so that he can come back home, but being a Christian she has refused to do that. Others went as far as telling her to simply let her child die, since the possibility of taking him to India is quite low because of her poverty. Some of my friends told me that I should try traditional healers who can give me some medicine to help my husband come back, but I don't want to do that since I'm a Christian myself. Others told me that my child will continue to restrict my ability to find a job, and that since my husband abandoned me, I should let my child die in order to find an opportunity to return back to the city and find a job again. But still, I refused to accept their suggestions and chose to fight for my son, even if the battle is too big to fight alone. Surprisingly, this woman still wishes her husband to come back even after what she has done to her for a long time. As a Christian, she has already forgiven him and she would like to see her family together once again. However, all her efforts to reach out to him have failed, as the man cut off all the communications with her, and to this day, she doesn't know where he lives or what he does. However, her biggest focus now is her son, whose condition is worsening the longer he misses out on the heart surgery he needs. If she can get her son back to a healthy state, she would be incredibly happy even if her husband would not show up again in her life. What I'm asking is that my child would get advanced surgery he needs so that he can be healthy. Seeing my child in a healthy state would be the first thing to make me happy in a long time. Even if I can't have food, but knowing that my child is healthy, I would still celebrate and thank God for that miracle. Thank you for watching the Intacs. You can subscribe to help us share the story of this woman, and by doing that, you are playing your part in making the world a better place.